Hi, this is Sean Bowen, Executive Director of Barnabas Ministries, and this is the July 2024 edition of John 17:23 Connections, a ministry update that we like to provide to you from time to time. I'm excited and pleased to be able to say, and I praise God for the now 1,766 pastoral leaders meeting in 380 groups in 23 countries. I especially want to welcome 6 new groups in India and the 36 new pastoral leaders from that nation who have joined the John 17:23 group movement to come together so that they can be encouraged, inspired, and enabled to do kingdom ministry together. Now, earlier this year, previous public surveys of pastoral leaders have found that nearly 3 in 10 pastoral leaders have given serious consideration to leaving ministry, driven by the high stress of the job and by isolation. I want to hear these sorts of results. I recall Martha's plea to Jesus in Luke's gospel account that says, "But Martha was distracted with much serving. And she went up to him," that is Jesus, "and said, 'Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to serve alone? Tell her then to help me.'" Sometimes the act of serving in God's kingdom, especially if you feel isolated, can continue to fracture relationships, add to that stress on the job or overwork, and burnout can happen. Even the Surgeon General of the United States last year in 2023 identified loneliness as a public health problem, which, if unaddressed, I quote, "we will pay an ever-increasing price in the form of our individual and collective health and well-being. And we will continue to splinter and divide until we can no longer stand as a community or a country. Instead of coming together to take on the great challenges before us, we will further retreat to our corners, angry, sick, and alone." Well, the gospel, of course, is good news, and it counters this drift towards isolation and division. The church is the answer to the world's problem. The gospel is the answer to the world's problems. Because when we are all invited into the church, we're invited into the family of God, of which Jesus says is the key factor which makes that work is, "A new commandment I give you," from the Gospel of John, "that you love one another just as I have loved you. You are also to love one another. By this, all people will know that you are my disciples if you have love for one another." Or, as Jesus prayed to the Father in John 17, that all believers would be perfectly one, so that the world would know that you, Father, sent me, Jesus, and you love them even as you love me. You love the church. You love all disciples in the same way that he loves Jesus. What a wonderful thing. And so John 17:23 groups provide a place for ministry leaders who can just be themselves among peers who get it, who know what it's like to serve as a pastor or a ministry leader. And every June, we conduct a survey of John 17:23 group members to get a sense of how groups are doing, to assess how pastors are doing in groups. So it's no surprise to me that the 4 benefits that group members this time have mentioned about their group that they get from their group are: number 1, relationships, sharing, support, and prayer. And 84% report that their relationship health is good or excellent. And so because of this, and listen to this, pastors and groups are 3 times less likely to have considered leaving ministry. That's 1 in 10 versus 3 in 10. These groups make a difference. And we find that relationships between pastors in a community are crucial for the health of the pastor and the congregation. But more importantly, when these relationships are built between believing pastors from different churches or even denominations, then we see movement towards an answer to Jesus' prayer in John 17. In our June 2024 survey, 92%, over 9 out of 10, pastors and groups said that theological differences were not an issue for their group. You see, there's a connection between this oneness that Jesus prayed for, this unity that Jesus prayed for, and so that the world would know. If I can be so bold, I believe that there's a direct connection between that oneness and renewal and revival, which many of us are praying for. So here at Barnabas Ministries, our vision is to see authentic, spiritual and relational unity between pastoral leaders based on John 17:23, so that the world might more easily find Jesus. It's authentic, and that it's not a unity just in name or just, let's just have a meeting once a month and declare we're unified. No, it's authentic and that it's genuine. It's spiritual because it's based on the work that Jesus has done on the cross. He is the agent of our reconciliation. It's not just our effort to try to come together in unity. No, it's derived from what Jesus has done for us. And it's relational because you really can't be unified with someone you don't know, that you don't interact with. And so to that end, our call, the way we do this, is to connect pastoral leaders into these John 17:23 groups so they can be encouraged, inspired, and enabled to do this kingdom ministry together. And I emphasize that together part. So I'm grateful to you, the many who come alongside this ministry in prayer, or who volunteer your time to help form and encourage groups, or who generously support this ministry with your financial gifts. You are helping to make this vision, this mission a reality, this prayer of Jesus, so that the world would know. So I do celebrate that there are now over 1,700 pastors in 23 countries and groups. But sometimes I realize we've just scratched the surface compared to the absolute need. You see, this movement is larger than us. It's larger than me. And so I encourage you to pray alongside that prayer of Jesus, that all believers would be perfectly one, especially in this time of polarization. I encourage you to encourage others in your extended family, your home group, or your congregation, to pray that prayer of Jesus for your community, that all local pastors, that all local believing pastors would come together in authentic and genuine ways to support and encourage one another. And pray for your pastor, that if he or she is not in a group, that one can be started locally. And I encourage you also pray for this ministry, that we can be faithful to the call that God has given us. I know many of you do, and so I'm so very grateful for that. We also need your financial support. Our June-July campaign is just about halfway towards our goal of raising $50,000 over the summer months. We don't want to leave any pastor behind. The work of the church is too important to have any pastor drop out. Again, I thank you for your support. Continue to pray that prayer of Jesus, that all believers would be perfectly one, so that the world would know that the Father sent the Son into the world, and that Father loves all believers the same way he loves the Son. Thank you again, but may the Lord bless you.
Thanks for watching. Please click the like button or leave a comment to let us know you enjoyed the video. I also invite you to subscribe to our channel today. Be sure to click the bell icon if you would like to be notified when new content is added.